Hi, team, welcome. We should be live by now. Give me 1 second and I will let the world know we are live. Come on down. I don't know if I can do it on here. Actually, let's see. Let's see. How are we, team? Drop in the chat. I want to hear how you are, hear how you're getting along, what you're up to nowadays. How is your 2025 kicking off? Of course, most importantly, I want to know how your 2025 is going. Um, hey everyone, can I take everyone on here? Hey everyone, we are live. Beautiful. Okay, so today I really wanted to just this isn't, I've not really got my notes with me. I've not got a script or anything like that. So this is just going to be free flowing. I just want to have a conversation with you about how I got to where I am now. Um, and hang on. Please let me know if you can hear me because I spent 5 minutes doing a live last time and nobody could hear me. So yeah, like where I've gotten to and how I've gotten here with the foods that I eat, especially because I am definitely not one for full restriction. I don't like deprivation. I love my carbs. I love my pizza. I love my donut. And recently I've been asked, like, how can you still enjoy all the foods that you enjoy and still keep your body fat percentage low? Now, it's not the lowest. But I do have a lower body fat percentage than I used to. Even just with whole food plant-based alone, I was able to strip back my body fat percentage, lose 13 pounds of body fat, and then gain loads of muscle. As you can see, I'm not exactly protein deficient vegan, and this is just the body that I like to build. Just because this is the body that I like to build doesn't mean that it's the body that you like to build. So please bear that in mind, right? My nutritional needs are going to be very different to yours. What I require and what I eat is going to probably be very different to what you need, what you like. So, like the day in the life of that you see on Instagram and other places, where everyone says, hey, this is what I eat in a day. I don't like to do these because my diet is very specific and unique to me. That doesn't mean that you don't or can't draw inspiration from me. I just don't want you to take it as the be all and end all, right? Oh, Bianca eats so much of this, so I'm going to eat so much of this. Please do remember that your lifestyle, my lifestyle, they are totally different, down to my metabolism, down to my bladder, down to my protein needs, down to my carb needs, everything is unique. So just to pre-frame this video, please don't take everything to heart, take everything with a pinch of salt, and of course, always figure out what works best for you. This is an integral part of my coaching program. So Regenerate is my coaching program. The main part of Sorry, I could hear someone banging on the door next door. The main part of my coaching program, or the first part, is just working out what works for the individual, right? What works for you as a unique person in your body, your lifestyle. So again, just make sure that it works for you, basically. Okay. So I do actually have some slides. So we had a boot camp recently and I created a couple of slides and I really wanted to share these with you because I found them really helpful. So I very much focus on a low calorie, high nutritional diet, high nutrient diet, right? What do I mean by that? Let me share this screen for you, team, okay? So what I mean by high calories is calorie dense foods. Now, this might not be anything new for you. If it's not new, stick around because I'm still going to tell you all the foods that I do eat and how I can eat pizza and donuts. But for the most part, I avoid or I don't consume as many calorie dense foods as I possibly can, right? So I try and avoid these where possible. things like baked good, like croissants, muffins, cookies. I do have these. I would be an absolute liar if I stood here, talked to you, and told you that I don't have these. I do have these on occasion because these are the foods that I enjoy, and these are the foods that I allow myself to eat. Vegan processed foods like veggie burgers, vegan cheese, ice cream. These are very rarely that I will have these. Like very, very rarely will I have any of these in the house. Refined white foods, so white pasta, white bread, white sugar, white flour. So I'd say the only things out of those I would have is white pasta maybe on occasion. But again, we're getting fewer and fewer and fewer as we're going through the list. Oils. I do not have oil in the house, okay? If there's oil in here, it's my housemates. I do not have oils, plain and simply because they are the least nutritious way to get the only nutrients that you can get from oils, but from the food, sorry. But oils are incredibly calorie dense. They're the most calorie dense foods that you can have, and they do not fill you up. So they do not touch any part of your satiation, but they're going to give you so many calories. So I can, and you'll see this very soon, I can eat 10 times as much food with just a fraction of the amount of calories than if I was to use something with oil. Okay, so oils, any nutrients that are left in the oil, if there's any left, I can get from their whole forms. And from their whole forms, they come along with many other benefits, like much more fiber, some water, and other minerals. Oils are very much fat. They are 100% fat and they are stripped of anything useful of them, and they just add calories like that. It's so easy to overconsume, so I just take them out. Especially for anyone who has heart concerns, maybe pre-diabetic, diabetic. These things, oils are really, really not healthy for us, not healthy for our arteries. And again, really just like fighting a battle when it comes to weight loss. If you're having oils, it's going to be like taking one step forward, three steps back. It is just such a hindrance. Anyway, so I totally avoid oils. If I go out to the pub, if I go out for lunch with a friend and there's something that's been cooked in oil, I'm not incredibly anal about it, but my choices are always to avoid them. I don't throw it out, I don't spit it out, I don't throw it up if it has it in there, but I will never cook with it at home. And then refined white foods like pasta. Oh yeah, I forgot I left this in there twice. So calorie dense foods are foods that I try to eat very, very, very rarely, if at all. Okay. So naturally, my diet is then going to be high in nutrient rich, nutrient dense foods. What do I mean by nutrient dense foods? So foods that are rich in essential vitamins, minerals, fiber, water, and typically all of these are very relatively low in calories. So things like potatoes, butternut squash, sweet potatoes, these are incredibly healthy for us. They have all of the extra vitamins, minerals, and the fiber than anything like a processed food like bread actually has. Okay. And starches, complex carbohydrates, they are actually very healthy for us. So things like fruits, I eat fruits quite a lot. I'll go through like the main things that I do eat in a second. But I do eat loads of fruits. I eat loads of starchy vegetables. I love my starchy vegetables, right? Loves me some potatoes and some sweet potatoes. Nothing wrong with them. Whole grains, so things like brown rice, quinoa. I have these all the time. Legumes, so all the beans, all the lentils, all the peas, non-starchy vegetables, of course, things like tomatoes, cucumbers, broccoli, leafy greens, of course, lettuce, arugula or rocket if you're from the UK, spinach, herbs and spices in abundance, mushrooms, and fermented foods. So these are all pretty much the foods that I eat is the nutrient-dense foods. And again, why do I eat these? Well, purely and simply because they take up so much space. I want you to think of like a broccoli head. That's about 100, 150 calories, like for a whole thing, like literally the size of my face. And for the same amount of calories, you can get that much oil. Okay, so physically, what I mean by volume is physical space that it takes up. It's going to require a lot of space in my belly. It requires a lot of chewing, right? Requires a lot of eating, requires a lot of digestion. There are so many benefits from eating the nutrient-dense foods. It's going to contain the fiber to help move the toxins out of your body, also help with regular bowel movements. Nutrient-dense foods, all of these fruits, vegetables, legumes, grains, these are all the foods that I eat in abundance every single day. Now, my diet is typically about 80-20. And I know that's very stereotypical if people say, hey, have a balanced diet, like the 80-20 rule. But I would say for my metabolism, the way that I eat, the 80-20 rule works. Now, don't get me wrong, team. I have seen some people, I have some clients where the 80-20 rule just does not apply, right? For example, I have clients who have major health concerns. So that 20 is incredibly detrimental, right? So if you have any health concerns, health issues, always speak to your doctor, although they won't know much about nutrition. Um, um, the 80-20 rule works for me. Doesn't mean that it works for you, okay? So that 20 rule does include things that are mildly, like slightly processed as well. So think of things like tofu. It is technically slightly processed. I have sourdough bread because I love me some sourdough. I love me some plant-based milks, right? Soy milk is my jam. The reason why I choose soy milk is because it's slightly higher in protein than the others and lower in starch. So for me, building muscle, that's great just to have a little tiny boost. Now, speaking of protein, I do want to just jump on here and bust that myth. Excuse me, I have no idea what's going on with me this evening. I just want to jump in here and bust that myth, right? So realistically, most of you only need 0.8 to, let's say, 1.3 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. That's all you need, okay? Now, the reason why I was so anal about telling you guys today that what I need is different to you is because my goals are different to you. So my goals are to build muscle. So you can get down to incredibly, beautifully slim place where you're happy and you're slim, you've got a low body fat percentage. You can work out, but your muscles will only get so far. If you want to build a bigger physique, you need to start changing your lifestyle and your diet to accommodate that. The reason why big, beefy bodybuilders eat so much protein and say you need so much protein is because they literally need to eat that in order to get to this unnatural size, right? So like obesity is an unnatural size for a human in perfect balance, a jacked up man a meathead that you'll see at the gym is also an unnatural physique. So to get to both extremes, you need to eat to extreme. Okay. So the reason why I specifically adjust some of the things in my diet, and I could not explain this enough to you guys. The reason why I change a few things in my diet to accommodate enough protein is so that I can accommodate a physique that I am aiming towards. If you are just here to lose body fat, maybe tone up a little bit with some exercise, and you're not looking to get super, super jacked, then having those nutrient-dense foods are going to be plenty of protein because protein sits in all fruits and vegetables. There is a varying amount of each amino acid in all of these foods that you can eat, acquire pull and create the proteins that you need. So with a varied, nutrient-dense diet, calorie-poor diet, when I say calorie-poor, I mean we're not eating the calorie-dense foods, you'll get sufficient protein, right? You'll get sufficient vitamins and minerals that you need. Again, unless you are a little bit of a unicorn, maybe you might not be able to assimilate, digest, or create some specific things, in which case you might need a little bit of help from supplements, which is where doctors and regular blood work comes in real handy. So I hope that's really cleared up, what you should eat and or well, really cleared up the protein thing. This is what happens when I don't have notes, guys. I'm just free flowing, okay? So that is the calorie dense foods versus nutrient dense foods. The reason why I eat 80-20 is because if I didn't eat the nutrient dense foods, if I didn't eat all the healthy foods, I would easily overconsume, blow over the amount of calories that I need in a day. Now, I probably should have jumped in and explained calories. So if you are unfamiliar with the term calories, imagine like watts with electricity. A light bulb needs to consume a certain amount of energy to produce a certain amount of energy. So the same with our bodies. If we burn, let's say, just for argument's sake, to make things very, very simple, if we burn 1,000 calories, we need 1,000 calories in to maintain. However, if you consume more than 1,000 calories, but you are burning 1,000 calories, then you are going to store that in your body and it stores as fat in cells. However, if you are consuming less energy than what you're burning, you're going to be using the energy from inside your body. So if you are eating calorie poor foods, these are foods that are lower in calories. And calorie poor foods are usually typically really healthy for us. But calorie dense foods are typically very unhealthy for us. They are laden with fat, sugar, salt, and not to mention a lot of chemicals, right? And they're all man-made, and they're all made to satisfy the palate, to be addictive. So when we eat nutrient-dense foods, we create less space for the junk food, and we can feel satiated. We can get enough protein. We can get enough iron. We can get enough calcium and vitamin. I was going to say vitamin D then. Well, you could get some vitamin D from some mushrooms if you soak them in the sun. But we can get the most amount of nutrients that we can get from foods anyway. Typically, the main thing that people do struggle with is vitamin B12 because of the style of agricultural farming, because of the style of farming nowadays. However, you can easily supplement that too. If you're someone who doesn't eat meat, but you're not entirely vegan, you're probably already deficient in B12. You don't need to go vegan to be deficient. But typically as well, a lot of meat eaters will be deficient in something. Anyway, I'm kind of going off track. So I eat a lot of nutrient-dense, calorie-poor foods because I crowd in to crowd out. The more of these I eat, so for example, if I load up on a huge, big salad, I ain't gonna have space for those cookies, right? I ain't gonna have space for that ice cream afterwards. So if I start with the nutrient-dense foods at every single meal, if I start with those, I have much less space and much less desire to overeat on the junk after. So I stack up on those foods. I do have an 80-20, so that means I do eat pizza every now and then. I do eat vegan donuts every now and then. And I would be an absolute liar if I told you I didn't, because I do enjoy these foods. But let me tell you now, I eat them incredibly mindfully. I plan them. And I freaking enjoy them. Okay? And what I do with my clients is help them get to a place where they get to enjoy the foods that they enjoy, the foods that they want to eat, right? We don't demonize foods. We don't take foods totally out their diet because they're a carbohydrate or because they're a fat. I eat these foods, but I also eat the nutrient-dense foods paired with it. That way I get my nutrients, I get the right amount of macros, and I get to eat the foods that I do enjoy. Your sweet spot might be different. Your sweet spot might be 90-10, right? It might be 80-20. It might be 70-30. Whatever your sweet spot is with the processed foods and the nutrient dense foods, find what works for you. So, what do I eat? Well, realistically, I eat the nutrient dense foods. So they are literally fruits, but I've not got a great imagination. So mostly the fruits that I eat are at the moment Sharon fruits or persimmons, whatever you want to call them. Bananas, typically some apples. Every now and then we'll rotate maybe with some pears. And that's kind of it on the fruit front. I'm terrible with fruit, and it does itch a sweet tooth craving. But yeah, I don't eat a huge amount of fruit. But if you eat fruit, there's nothing wrong with that. Just eat it whole, right? Don't juice all of your fruit because you're basically extracting all of the fiber out of that food. And then you're creating a high sugar food, which is just gonna hit your bloodstream, give you that spike, and then crash just very, very similarly to processed sugar. Now, hear me out. They are not equal, but it is still sugar. So have them in their whole form. So in terms of fruits, I do typically have like bananas, Sharon fruits or persimmons, whatever you want to call it, apple, pears, and every single day I will have a serving of berries. If it's with my breakfast and I have it with that, if I have a savory breakfast, I'll have them for a snack because I want to get a good handful of some nutrient-rich foods. Blueberries are known to help improve cognitive ability and memory. And if you know me, you know I need every single bit of help I can get. So I will always have a portion of blueberries. If not, it's mixed berries. And that's pretty much my fruit. Starchy vegetables, I don't have these every day, but definitely once a week we will have some sort of potato. So whether it's white potato, sweet potato, butternut squash. Intact whole grains, I will have typically a source of grain. Sorry, I'm really stiff. I've got an itch on my back and I'm really stiff because I did chest yesterday at the gym. And I can't open up my chest. It's so painful. It's anyway. Intact whole grains. Don't mind me while I just stretch my chest out. Thank you. Intact whole grains. So brown rice, quinoa, grains like these I usually have with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, so I will typically have a grain with every meal. Then legumes. So legumes or beans. So kidney beans, black beans, butter beans, chickpeas, any kind of lentil, green, red, brown, and soybean is edamame, which is also from the tofu or the tempeh. So if you categorize all of that under beans and legumes, I will have a source of that typically at every meal as well. And the good thing about legumes and beans is they provide a good source of protein. Yes, they come with carbohydrates, but they are a great source of protein for plant-based eaters. And they contain a fair amount as well, considering we only need like 1.8 to 1.3 grams per kilo of body weight. They provide plenty. Non-starchy vegetables. These are your godsend. These are the super duper duper low in calories, the super duper low calorie foods. These have a lot of volume. So you could have a salad the size of my head and bigger, which is usually the size of my salads, and you will feel so full eating a huge salad like that. You're not going to feel full eating a measly little side salad. You're going to feel full when you eat a big salad. Non-starchy vegetables, they take up a lot of space with very few calories. Guys, these are your weight loss saviors. I have these with every meal. Been toying around with having grated zucchini with my breakfast oats because they have no flavor. They are bland. So when you add it to the breakfast oats, you're doubling the quantity, doubling the size for literally 10, 11 calories. It was insane when I measured it out. So non-starchy vegetables, I'm always getting these in. I'm always having a source of fruit or vegetable at every single meal. Then leafy greens. So for me, it's incredibly important to have a dark green vegetable, preferably a leafy green vegetable with every meal. Some meals like breakfast, I might not be able to get a leafy green, but I might be able to get a zucchini in there. But for lunch and dinner, you bet your ass 100% there's going to be a green vegetable in there, and it's going to take up most of the space. Okay, so as you can tell, I do keep the low calorie, nutrient dense foods to the most of my plate. Herbs and spices, I'm just looking through the list I showed you, by the way. Herbs and spices, yes, I eat these in abundance because they make my food taste great. If you're not a great chef, go and get a bunch of spices. Do this for me now. It is going to save your cooking. I went out and got, I've always had a bunch of herbs and spices, and it will elevate your meals to the next level. You will be surprised if you're someone who uses herbs and spices, how many people don't. So I use all of these things like turmeric, cinnamon, ginger. They're all great. They're all good anti-inflammatories. They help fight cancer. They help fight inflammation. They help with anti-aging. They are fantastic. They come straight from a plant. So they are, again, really, really beneficial for the skin, for the digestion, for our immunity. So I have those in abundance wherever I can. Honestly, turmeric, if you add like a teaspoon to everything, you can't taste it, but everything's going to go yellow. So just watch your teeth. Mushrooms, I will have a portion of mushrooms once a week at least. I will always make sure that I have those in my diet. And then fermented foods. So fermented foods, I'm not too obsessive with fermented foods, but I do love me some sauerkraut. I love me some kimchi. These are my favorites. I have tempeh mostly at least once a week. So I do have some form of fermented foods, but I'm not obsessive about it. I'm not like obsessed as much as I am with getting some starch and some protein and some green vegetables. Okay, so fermented foods are fantastic for the gut, but I do eat those as well. I'm going to tell you one thing as well that I make sure that I am incredibly, incredibly anal about, very much on top of, is my hydration. If anyone's seen my story today, everyone would know that I've been to see a specialist for my bladder, and she has told me to reduce my water intake, which I'm not happy about. And she was like, well, you are like, double, your water intake is like literally double the average. I was like, yep, that's exactly the secret that helps me. So what helps me keep the hunger at bay, what helps me with my energy is this bad boy here, and that's just water. Water is my godsend. It is my diet pill. It is my diet drink. Drinking enough water and more than enough water keeps me satiated, it keeps me hydrated, it keeps me awake and alert. I don't need to drink 17 coffees anymore because I'm drinking 3.5 liters of water a day. Now, you might not be at 3.5 liters of water a day, and I don't want to panic you. Please don't panic. Please don't panic. Calm down. Just drink a little bit more than what you're doing. Water is my biggest thing that I eat or drink to keep my body fat low. It helps eliminate the cravings, helps flush all of the fiber through. Fiber can't move without water, so it helps flush everything through, helps keep me regular, helps with my skin, helps with my mood, my energy. Like I said, it reduces cravings and it slows down like the time that I start feeling hungry. So if I start feeling hungry, I'll just chug loads of water and it will keep that hunger at bay for a while, that feeling of hunger, which means I can stretch my meals out. It means that I don't have to eat so soon between meals. Now, there is one key thing that I didn't really talk about today because I want to highlight it now, are fats. Now, healthy fats are great for us. Yes, we need healthy fats. What do I mean by healthy fats? Nuts, nut butters, seeds, seed butters, avocados, olives, coconut meat. These are fantastic sources of fats. When we go into oils, they are stripped of the fiber, they're stripped of most nutrients, and they are incredibly calorific. So whereas when we look at these, they come with the fiber. When things come with fiber, we don't actually digest 100% of the calories either. So it helps keep things moving. It helps reduce the clogging in our arteries, and it helps reverse the cholesterol levels that we've got. It helps lower those. So we need healthy fats in our diet, 100%. There's not a shadow of a doubt. But here is my secret. I eat about 3 to 6 tablespoons a day of healthy fats, and that's it. So if you think about your peanut butter on your toast, if you think about that handful of nuts that you grab when you come home from work, if you think about the seeds that you put on your salad, if you think about the avocado in your burrito, if you think about the tahini in your hummus, if you think about the tahini in your hummus, these are all fats, okay? And one thing that I make sure that I do is do not go beyond 6 tablespoons. And the reason why is because it is so easy to overconsume on your calories when you are not tracking. Because bear in mind, I do not track anything. I do not count macros. I do not count calories. Never. And I teach my clients exactly how to do this. When you're eating high fat foods, it's super duper easy to overdo it on your calories. So I make sure that as a general rule, I do not eat over 6 tablespoons. I created I create my own meal plan every single week. Sometimes my partner does it, so then I don't write those up. But when I write my own meal plan, I write it up for my clients so that they can have my meal plan when I make it every week. And I'm going to give it to you guys. If anyone's watched this all the way through to the end of this video, I'm going to give it to you. So just type in plan underneath this video, and I will send you this week's meal plan. It has links to external recipes. So they're not all my recipes. But I've put everything together. So this is exactly what I have eaten this week. So it's last week's meal plan. This is you're going to see exactly what I've eaten. And you're going to be able to put it together in a very well balanced way. You'll notice that there is such a variety of different foods in there. And that's exactly how I plan my weeks. So if you would like my last week's meal plan that I ate and I can tell you everything was delicious, let me know and write the word plan in the comments and I will send it over to you. That's pretty much everything for today. If you have any questions, please pop them underneath. Don't DM me, because if you have a question about nutrition and food, so does someone else, and I guarantee you will help answer someone else's questions. So if you have any questions about this video, please drop them underneath. If you want my plan, type in plan, put that in the comments, and I will see you next week. Take care, team. Bye.